Welcome into 49ers Halftime Live. Laura, Britt, Donte, Whitner, Joe Staley here as the 49ers trail by 1 point, 13-12 at the half to the Indianapolis Colts here on Sunday Night Football. This has been, sloppy. That's what you expect when you see a weather game like this. The 49ers got out to such a hot start. Their opening drive, Joe, was so promising. And I think to see it kind of slow down over the span of the game has been a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, I love the way they came out. 3 explosive runs, getting back to that explosive running game that I knew and loved with Kyle Shanahan's offense. They were under center, using a lot of 21 and 12 personnel, really running the ball between the tackles, zone scheme, misdirection off that zone scheme. So a very exciting start, but yes, like you said, the conditions come down. We're kind of getting a little bit of a shotgun formation because they're not able to take the ball under center as effectively. They kind of switched up the game plan a little bit going for that, and I'd like to see them come out in the third quarter, get back to what they did in the first quarter, because they had a lot of success.
Yeah, in that first quarter, Kyle Shanahan had that first 15 plays cooking. They were running the football, and we thought that they would get back to, that's their true identity, running the football with those 3 backs that they have back there, utilizing the play-action game with Jimmy Garoppolo, but they just stalled. They can't get first downs. I don't think that they've had 1 first down in the first half, and you can't do that. They're moving the football, they're getting into the red zone, but they cannot get the first downs, and that's what's hurting them in this first half.
Third downs, also a big problem for them. But to your point, Elijah Mitchell, 14 carries for 93 yards, and then that touchdown to open up the scoring. Of course, Sly missing the extra point, but makes up for it completely with 2 field goals that he makes of, 34 yards. 56 yards.
Good from 59.
Right. I mean, that's kind of wild in a game like this. So the 49ers trail by 1. If you need to make some adjustments, and they certainly do, 0 for 7 on third down, what are they talking about in the locker room right now, Donte?
Well, on offense, it's about protecting the football. You've seen Deebo Samuel. You know that Darius Leonard, he's coming to this game, punching the ball out, intentionally going for the football. On the defense side of the ball, they have to stop grabbing and panicking when the ball is in the air. Make tackles, right? They have to be in their gaps. Gap integrity is lacking. But other than that, the 49ers in this game, it's going to really boil down to who makes the least mistakes.
Exactly. It's about the mistakes. I was just going to touch on that because it's a sloppy game. It's going to come down to who really has that last possession and doesn't turn the ball over. One thing I would really like to see is those defensive tackles for the Niners hold their gaps a little bit more. Quentin Nelson is really making his name and his presence felt in this game, making huge holes for Jonathan Taylor in that running game. And as you've seen in the second quarter, they're able to establish that run a little bit more. And I think it's still going to come down to, like we talked in the pregame, about the run game, the offense and defensive lines. Who's going to win that battle of attrition up front? And I think that's going to be the factor in the second half.
One big negative for the 49ers this season has been takeaways, turnovers, interception, anything. They haven't had very many, just 2. Well, this game, the defense, on a positive note, has really stepped up. We saw Josh Norman with the forced fumble, and then Fred Warner get the fumble recovery, Azeez Alshire with the big interception, Kentavious Street with a sack. So the defense really is playing well. I mean, you would love to see them make a big stop of the Colts right here before the half, but that's a big ask.
Yeah, and you see Josh Norman get his hands on the ball on the sideline that he could have intercepted.
Yes, so
You've seen
close.
Emmanuel Mosley with Carson Wentz getting outside the pocket to the right, hit his face pass and bounced off. But
it's hard to catch the ball in the rain.
Yeah, but you better grab it, right? You better hug it. Hey, I need this, right? We need that. Like, it's like the olive jar, right?
Ooh.
That one, it came and they start to, pluck out everywhere. But
I still don't get that. The olive jar. We have to figure that one out. Harbaugh, man, he's got some weird things that he says.
I think I'm getting the wrong olives. I don't know if somebody out there in the Twitter world wants to enlighten us on the olive jar situation. Please do. I think that's something positive to take away, though. And really, on that opening drive, you saw the 49ers offense really click, and I don't know if it was maybe for the first time this season. We've seen them have some successful drives, but it felt like that opening drive, like, okay, they've got something to build on here.
I remember watching the Detroit Lions game in that first half, really thinking, wow, this is the offense that's just going to pick up from that 2019 season when they were dominant.
I quickly forget, Joe.
Yeah. We haven't seen that. We haven't seen that since then. It's been very inconsistent, and much like this game, like what you talked about, the third down conversions. I mean, able to stay ahead of the chains, efficient runs on first and second down is where this team wants to live offensively right now. If you get in those third and longs, especially with the rain and the conditions that are today, it's not a conducive day to pass the ball down the field. They have to get into 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 situations where you can still run the ball
get it in between the tackles, maybe a little bit of misdirection outside in the alley, and then see if you can continue that drives and that rhythm that Jimmy was talking about in the pregame show.
It's something in the pregame show that you talked about was Carson Wentz and how the 49ers defense can take advantage of him. Now that you've seen him in this game, in these conditions, as a defensive player, what are you thinking in the second half? Are you foaming at the mouth trying to get out there and get Wentz?
No, I'm thinking the defensive line need to stay in their passing lanes. There's been multiple times where he's been able to escape the pocket, whether it be up through the middle or getting out to the edges and just throw the ball up and hope that they get a PI or a big play. You saw a 50-yard pass with Josh Norman on the coverage, and a wise man told me, when you stare at the quarterback, you're only going to watch him make completions. So you better get to your responsibility. That was a big play. And there was another one where he threw it up and K'Wan Williams kind of panicked on the play and got a 40-yard penalty. If they can just negate that, if they can rush in unity, stay in their rush lanes, they don't have anything to worry about in the second half. So rush together, plaster on the back end, and get away with a win.
I do have to follow up. Who was the wise man that told you that about football? Like, where was there a wise man that was just like, let me tell you something?
Mel Tucker. He said, Whitner, if you...
Oh, it was a coach?
It was a coach.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just having
Tucker.
a random
He said, Whitner, if you stare
guy.
at the quarterback, you're only going to watch him do one thing. I'm like, what's that, coach? Complete the ball.
I like that. I think that is a wise man. That's some wise advice right there. From the defensive side, though, we have seen Carson Wentz make some mistakes. I mean, he has been taking care of the football this season, but in this game specifically, not as much as what we typically see from Carson Wentz outside of, we're talking just 2021, because in 2020 he led the league in interceptions.
Yeah, he was a turnover machine. Yeah. But this year, Frank Reich, he pulled him back, pulled the reins back on him and said, hey, I'm going to do you how we did Phillip Rivers the previous year. If it's not there, well, we pick a shot to go downfield, dump the ball over the middle. You have your outlets. When we want to throw the ball deep, we're going to give you 2- and 3-man routes. We're not going to make it difficult for you. We're going to simplify the offense. And now he's just throwing to a spot. He's not throwing to a man. So that's why he's been able to protect the football. But tonight, in the rain, fumble and an interception, if the 49ers can find a way to get 1 or 2 more turnovers, not turn the ball over themselves, they shouldn't have anything to worry about in the second half of this game.
That guy is still in there, though. That Carson Wentz that we saw in Philadelphia that threw 15 interceptions in 12 games, 50 sacks. You stop the run more consistently, hold your gaps up front, make Jonathan Taylor not be able to find a crease up the middle. I think they can put more pressure on, and I like what you said about because they're getting pressure off the edge. I think Nick Bosa's really dominating against Eric Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
They saw D Ford have a good edge pressure on the right tackle. What's his name? Starts with an F.
Yeah, but
anyways,
it's
the right tackle. And but those lanes up the middle with Armstead and Street, they have to be able to contain.
Jonathan Taylor, 11 carries for 74 yards in this game. The 49ers hopefully able to shut that down. Let's get Takeo Spikes in here. Hey, Takeo, on 49ers Halftime Live. I want to get your thoughts on some of what all we've been discussing. First off, let's start with the positive, because I think we're a little nitpicky sometimes, as are fans watching at home. But the opening drive from the 49ers was very impressive. What were you thinking after they go down and punch in a touchdown to start the game?
I love the game plan, and I see why Kyle Shanahan is 2-0 after a bye week. I thought he constructed very good plays, and it wasn't so much throwing the football around down the field. It was misdirection, understanding, trying to take advantage of Darius Leonard, the all-pro linebacker that the Colts have. He has a bum ankle, and I thought they did a very good job of not only putting a hat on him to get him blocked, but making him think the ball is going one way and coming back with counters. And I thought it allowed some creases up the middle for Elijah Mitchell to be able to take advantage of and to be able to get plus yardage.
I want to get your thoughts on the second half of this game. If you're in the locker room right now, we'll go to the defensive side. Takeo, what are the adjustments that you're making if you're on the defensive side of the ball?
On the defensive side of the ball, I just think you have to, when you get put in one-on-one situations, like I think I can't recall, it's like 3 penalties for like 57 yards or something like that. And that's ludicrous. That's crazy. And I think a lot of it is just due to the fact of the ball being in the air and guys are just panicking and they have plenty of time. With the exception of one pass interference penalty, I think these guys have done a pretty good job, but the big chunk yardage plays that they are allowing the coach to be able to get easy access into their side of the red zone. That's unheard of. And I think in order for them to do better for the second half, make the play when the play is presented in front of you, especially if it's a deep ball. Get your head around, because it's hard enough to catch the ball as it is because it's raining. But don't give them free access and easy access to be able to get inside of the red zone and get easy field goals.
Yeah, the 49ers 3 penalties for 64 yards in the first half of this game as they trail by 1 point, 13-12 at the half to the Colts. Keys to the second half, Donte, let's bring it back here in studio. What's your key to the second half for the 49ers?
Keys to the second half for the 49ers on defense is gap integrity. There was too many times when Jonathan Taylor was able to run up the middle of the field and there's 1 or 2 guys not being where they're supposed to be. Communication on the back end and not panicking, and they should be okay. On the offense side of the ball, put the ball away. You know these guys are intentionally swiping and punching at the football. Continue to run the same running game that you did in the first half, and you better believe that there's going to be some play action passes coming off of that counter game. And Jimmy Garoppolo, do what you do. You're efficient. You like to throw the ball underneath, but make sure you utilize your eyes so that you can move the underneath coverage and do not throw the ball to the defense. If they can do both of those things, run the ball, get in the red zone, score touchdowns, they'll come away victorious in this game.
I think for the offense right now, the challenge is to the offensive line. This is going to be a game in the run game where you have to win. And where do you win? You win in the trenches. So I'm challenging the offensive line this second half to come out and do what they did for that first quarter, that second quarter. They were able to move the chains, be efficient on first and second down, almost rushing for 100 yards in the first half. You have to continue that in the second half. And defensively, I said it earlier, defensive tackles, they have to hold their gaps in the middle, allow Fred Warner and Al-Shaair to be making those plays in the middle. Don't let Jonathan Taylor have patience and hit the gap when he wants to.
All right, and the 49ers have got to get their third down efficiency corrected. It's been a theme over the past few games, 0 for 7 on third down. If you want to stick around after the game, flip it over to NBC Sports Bay Area Plus. We're going to have instant reaction analysis here from the players, also hear from Joe, Donte, and Takeo. That's on NBC Sports Bay Area Plus. Just say it into your remote. That's what I do. Just say NBC Sports Bay Area Plus. We'll see you after the game. Thanks for joining us for 49ers Halftime Live.